Righto, here we go. Shelter FootyCast live from BackChat Studios. Southern Riverband boys there. Skeeter, I want to start with a story if that's okay. Hello, how are you?
We're going well, Sky. I get the feeling it's related to me, so I'm just going to stand by and put the seatbelt on.
I got two stories. First story, which I guess I wasn't led into. Jats Crackers. Happy with that?
It actually reminds me because I was at Lord's roughly 12 months ago,
Yes.
within a week, and some young bloke came up to me, seriously, just standing there. I was just having a pint at lunch, as in just watching the life go by, wheel go by, and he comes up and says, "Skeeter, I've got your Jats Crackers."
That was Charlie. He works at
right.
He worked at BackChat.
That's right, yeah. Anyway, he just came out of nowhere.
So we had a young aspiring podcaster come in here last week with his old man.
Yep.
Joss and Smith. I think they're big FootyCast listeners.
Yes.
Bought you some Jats Crackers. There's no gag here. They bought us some beer. They bought you some Jats Crackers.
I get the crackers and you get the booze.
Correct.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I don't eat these by the bucket load, but I do.
You do now. Thank you very much.
The gesture. My wife's going to be filthy because she likes to get those healthy healthy crackers that women like to eat. I just like getting Jats Crackers out when I'm by myself at home.
Good. So you got Life Supply now.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
The second story I wanted to tell. This was from an avid listener of the Shelter FootyCast. He was in the city a couple of days ago and just walking along minding his own business. And there was a group of young girls, 20 to 21-year-old girls, standing around talking and, nothing different whatsoever. And all this Shelter FootyCast listener heard was, "Oh, yeah, that Mark Reddings guy, he's so funny." I just found that fucking hilarious. A group of young girls standing in the city talking about how funny Mark Reddings is.
Is that off the back of my Hawk 2 girl? Which I didn't know.
Did you say that?
I did, so I thought it was very clever, very smart by Dan, and yes, no, it was good. And I'll give you one quick story because I know we have a sort of a family link with my daughter's babysitting your kids, and I did pottery with my mum yesterday, I think, or the day before. Just, before I know, you'll be living in the backyard with...
What's your mum's name?
Bernadette.
Yeah, Alex said it was great fun.
Yeah, anyway.
I will be letting you in your cubby house.
It's just sort of part of...
You come out every hour to have a dart with me.
No.
Go back inside.
Anyway, in brief, it was quite a cute story because my daughter was babysitting your boys the other night, and I presume it was Nash.
One of them.
Anyway.
Said,
"Can I have dessert, please, Livy?" And she goes, "What would you like?" She goes, "An apple." I thought, how good's that? That is, in all seriousness, that's a serious... She said, how cute was that? He wanted an apple as a dessert, which is highly unusual.
After I told you she was feeding him bloody Smarties and bloody nerds to go to sleep. He couldn't get him to sleep. He had,
apple.
Get a fruit.
Anyway, it's, nice work.
Running a good household, Skeeter, as you know. Thanks for joining us here on the Shelter FootyCast. Shelter FootyCast on Instagram. You can send us an email, get involved, footycast@backchatstudios.com.au. Make sure you sign up as a VIP. Skeetering, I'm going to do some special stuff at the end of this show for our VIPs, so you can sign up at backchatstudios.com.au or sign up there. You'll find us there. Now, Skeeter, got a giveaway for a Freo game this week, so
that's
stay
Saturday
tuned for
night.
that. Yeah, we've got a giveaway for that. Don't worry about that. Let's get into having a bit of a chat about what's going on in the AFL landscape. We've been speaking about rules a little bit. Umpiring. I saw a post go up on social media around the decisions that have been made that have changed games, and there's about 10 of them over the last... I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did.
It just named them as the Rankin one and the Collingwood game and the North Melbourne one. And
some of them are a bit... misleading.
The Draper one, the Jordan Clark one with the abuse.
There are about 4 that didn't directly result...
the Jordan Clark one did.
The Jordan Clark one did. The Sam Draper one did. The Rankin one,
maybe
that's a 50-50.
North Melbourne, Collingwood, that one.
Yeah. So there were a few.
The Essendon stuff on the weekend, like that, and there's double that. Andrew Dillon's been, so they didn't roll Laura Kane out this week,
and they're not going to do that moving forward.
Is that right?
Well, they've decided not to answer. Well. And I sort of get it. You've got to answer every question from an umpiring perspective on the weekend.
Well, why were they doing it in the first place?
Well, they're trying to be transparent, and all you do is, in Laura Kane's situation, is that you end up getting yourself tied in knots, as she did, trying to explain it. They'll have a crack at her if she doesn't speak, and they'll have a crack at her when she does.
They think that she can't win.
Well, I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
I like the transparency.
I know, but
so she's gone and said something that they're not happy with, or that's been picked apart, and now we pull it. I don't like that.
But yeah, I mean, so if you're the AFL, I can understand them being a bit more hesitant to throw yourself out there if you're going to get whacked every time you try and give an explanation. And look, sometimes you got to say you were wrong, as the AFL did in the Essendon Geelong match. They said, look, we got these wrong.
This is what happens to players, right? So players will come out and be honest, and then they get pulled apart. Imagine if an AFL footy club said, all right, we're not doing that anymore. Players aren't going to speak to the media. We're not doing that anymore. You only get to speak to Don Pike at West Coast.
There's a slight difference. There's a slight difference.
Why?
I mean,
why? How?
Because the players, let's be honest, when it comes to the umpiring fraternity,
Laura Kane's got a job to do, and she should be explaining them.
Every weekend, the umpiring decisions. No, I don't think she has to do it every weekend.
Don't do it in the first place. Then Andrew Dillon's come out.
Maybe that was a mistake doing it in the first place, because they don't do it in the NRL every Monday.
Andrew Dillon, yeah, well,
I'm just saying different codes.
Yeah, well, that's
basketball.
It's a junk league, isn't it? Andrew Dillon has come out. Her boss. Never been better, the umpiring. That's a direct quote.
Yeah.
Never been better.
He's probably had his...
Please.
He's probably been...
Please.
Been fired up by some of the criticism, protecting or defending his people, whatever it is. Like, I know that's not necessarily the case, but I would ask, even someone like yourself, recently out of the game, how you feel you would go out there umpiring under as it is now, not talking about fitness, etc., more about the decision-making with the numbers of bodies around the ball, the amount of congestion there. I think it's still the toughest sport in the world to umpire. I know Chris Scott said that. I've said this for a long time. It is the toughest sport in the world to umpire. We can sit back from our TV, look at our TV screens and give decisions, which are very obvious to us, but some of them aren't that clear to umpires on the ground. Some of them are just mistakes, which happens.
Our umpires, this is quoting Dillon, it's an incredibly tough game to umpire, but we've got elite decision makers, they're elite athletes, but they continue to work on their craft. The AFL doesn't pay them full time, by the way. All sports are really difficult to officiate, but I think our sport is one of the hardest ones in the world. I think it's as good as it's ever been, the umpiring. The reason I don't like that, Skeeter, and we've just talking about with Laura Kane, whether that's what he thinks or not, so whether he's defending them or whether he's not defending them, I've spoken about this for a few weeks, there's an undercurrent of people that have an issue with the umpiring. So him coming out and saying that is basically saying, you know what, fans, you're fucking wrong. I'm right. Our guys are the best. This is the best it's ever been. What you think, it doesn't really matter, right? We're running the show here, and it's all good. Nothing to see here. Umpires are good. Hard game to umpire. Shove your thoughts where, like, you could come out and speak about it and be like, look, there's been some mistakes. Yes, there has been. It's a hard game. These guys are doing a great job. I just don't understand that it's as good as it's ever been. That's a big, these ones to the fans.
Yeah, I know whether it was worded right, you probably, I don't disagree with what you're saying in the messaging. Mind you, mate, I've been in the media for 30-odd years. I reckon I've heard this argument about the umpiring is as bad as it's ever been for probably 27 of those years.
So I don't think it's as bad as it's ever been.
No, nor do I. And I think it's as tough as it's ever been.
Yeah.
The only thing which, you know what, talk about left field suggestions. You've got 4 umpires out there. Do you need, obviously 4's not going to change, but
10?
Is there,
10?
No, is there an avenue to have an umpire sitting in the stand with contact with an umpire? The Sam Draper case, for instance, that's a free kick. I mean, I'm not sure how umpires miss it, but sometimes they do miss them. So
it's just a booth, isn't it? Like that's just like the VAR.
And obviously you can't go through replays because the game moves too quickly to go back. But if you can see something blatantly obvious, a howler that's been missed, I don't know. We need to think outside the square because clearly, and also when you've got 4 out there, it's like you and I, if we had 2 more blokes sitting there to discuss an issue, you got 4 opinions essentially, which is great, but you're not going to get 4 unanimous decisions generally.
The problem is, and I like the idea, but the problem is old mate in the stands makes a howler and overrules the umpire because he's going to make the decision in real time too. So although he might get a few replays, like he can't 5 minutes later go, hey,
that's what I'm saying. The game moves too quickly.
Yeah.
I just feel that to give the umpires a better chance, maybe have someone in a better position, which is, as we are, sitting there watching on the TV. But even still, we're seeing umpires, for whatever reason, we're seeing throws in the game that seem blatant to us.
Yes.
There's umpires here, umpires there, and none of them see it or choose not to blow the whistle. So, again, I hate umpire bashing. I think it's futile, it's pointless. I mean, put it this way, the Eagles made more mistakes, 10 times more mistakes than what the umpires did on the weekend, but we focus on the umpires.
So why is criticism of umpires umpire bashing? And I don't think either of us, I'm not, the mistakes have been there. That's just a fact.
Yep.
But it's a hard game. That's also a fact.
But it doesn't mean that,
It doesn't mean you can be so positive that it's the best it's ever been. That's just bullshit. That's a lie. Why can't we just be factual? Just like we'd call out a player if, you know what I mean, like they do something wrong. Cozzy Pickett with his high bumps, like we'd talk about that and we criticise them and then we move on. Like, why can't we do it with umpires? Why are they so precious?
I don't think they're precious. I don't think they're anything but precious. I think umpires cop enough over the fence. I think they cop enough in the media. I don't think they're precious, but probably the messaging there is wrong. And look, as I say, it is always good to sit down with a bloke like Dean Muggets, and I often ask him on Monday about certain decisions. And there was one, I think, last weekend in brief, which was to do with a time-wasting decision against St Kilda, I think, or against Port Adelaide, not giving the ball back to the umpire like we saw.
The Collingwood Freo one.
Yeah, exactly. It's very similar to that. And the free kick was given, which...
That's precious umpiring.
I don't disagree, but so it's good to get an umpire's perspective because as much as we can talk about it, we've never done it. Okay. And so you sort of, to go out there and actually have to understand the nuances or the feel of the game, Dino's pretty handy as a sounding board.
Did you see are there track ball trackers that they might be trialling in the AFLW? Saying that? I like that.
Well, it's come from the VFL's currently got that in play.
Right.
Yeah, so that's been trialled this season already, I think. Eddie Maguire's had a bit of a involvement, his company, with getting the device. So obviously balls touched off the boot, hitting the post.
I love that.
So I think the AFLW will have that. That is...
Are they microchipped? Is that what it is?
Because at the moment they don't have the technology.
Talk us through the tech.
Yeah, no, well, that's not going to be happening on this show. I'll go through it with you afterwards. I'll just break it down for you on a more sort of personal basis.
The whiteboard.
All I know, Sco, is that it is going to be in the AFLW if possible because they don't have the technology at this point with the goal line cameras or whatever it is to snickos to get it all set up for the cost, etc., whatever that entails. But yeah, that's going to be interesting because there's probably, at the time we've wasted, certainly early in the year, I just don't feel it's been so much prevalent now, but earlier in the year, it felt like we were losing 3 or 4 minutes a game just by umpires referring decisions.
They've sorted that out, haven't they? There's never been more scrutiny as well, to finish off on it. There's never been more scrutiny. There's never been more nuffies like you and me talking about with a platform.
Exactly. Social media. I mean, put it this way. You wouldn't want to be an umpire going onto social media. No. You wouldn't want to be a player going to social media. You wouldn't want to be a jockey, for instance, going to social media.
You wouldn't want to be a media person with an opinion either. That's pretty fun too.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. So you can handle the clip. You love that engagement.
I don't love being.
Well, you put it right.
Called a fuckwit online. I don't love it. I just find it funny.
But you get the grenade and you say, right, let's see where this lands. I'll go. You know what? Unless I've had a couple of shelters,
I'm going to go have them with jats.
I'll just put the cue in the rack and just let it watch it. I'll watch it, but I won't participate.
Watch race night, fucking doomed.
But every time I do put my head up, like talk about the Ashes or something controversial when I've had a couple, I get absolutely torched.
All right, can we talk about some playing, sort of a little bit of player movement, rumours, Jake Waterman getting offers from over east? Is that management just maybe pushing that forward so he gets a better deal at West Coast?
Probably a bit of both. Probably there's some interest and probably there's Paul Pios saying, look, there's some clubs who have reached out and said, what's the plan?
This is the game. This is
the game.
It is. Elliot Yeo. That's what happened with Elliot Yeo.
In my heart of hearts, I don't think Elliot was ever going. Well, when I say ever going, he was probably, there was a part of him who would have looked at any offers. Of course, you're entitled to do that. But as I said at the time, I never thought he was seriously going to go. I don't think this either with Jake. I think they'll find an agreement.
So instead of talking about these rumours that are swirling around, I really think the West Coast are going to have to make some either or some tough decisions on players they'd like to keep at the end of this year.
Who would they like to keep?
Jake Waterman.
Yep.
Tom Barrass.
I was about to say Tom Barrass, who is quality, and without him and McGovern last weekend, it could have been a 100-point loss.
They've already shown their cards with Yeo. Like they wanted to keep him, and they've gone and put the money down to keep him. Like they've had to pay up for him.
So there's a balance between, I think, and you can answer better to this quickly, is keeping someone like a Tom Barrass. Now we know his quality on the field, but how important to the group, the culture of the group, is he in terms of a leader, someone that players respect, they can confide in? I mean, it's not just what your value is on field.
Brilliant question. And that is why I think there's tough calls. Jake Waterman's the same guy.
Yeah.
They are in that locker room connectors. They can talk up and down. Right? They've got relationships with the senior guys.
Yep.
They got relationships with the first year guys, and that they're in that band. Both of those guys, they're leaders, and they may well. Tom Barris has always been like a proper leader. Like he's a guy that talks in front of the group.
He's articulate. He's intelligent. So you expect, but that doesn't mean often you connect, as you say, with everyone in the group. But you know this better than I. But he clearly does.
The leadership these two have is, hey boys, let's go get a beer, or hey, how's this guy going? Like
he's struggling.
Yeah, correct. You're
having a tough time. Let's go and have a
correct.
coffee.
And it doesn't have to be a beer, coffee, or hang out, or let's connect these guys.
Yep.
That's what those two are. So. Look, I think they're going to have to make some tough calls because they're a year and a half into a rebuild. They're not 4 years into a rebuild. They're a year and a half into it, and they know that. Like they know that this squad here isn't winning a premiership.
So I know we're going over old ground here, but why are they? I don't know. I just keep going back to 2018, and the only reason I do it, not to relive the glory year of West Coast where they win a flag, I draw a comparison with what Collingwood's done.
Yep.
After that,
some tough calls,
and what the Eagles haven't done on so many levels. And to me, it's a very easy comparison. Both strong clubs, both wealthy, both had. I mean, there's a kick between you in a grand final, so there's not much between you as clubs.
Think about the tough calls that Collingwood.
But the path that has gone that Collingwood has taken, you're right, in so many areas that the Eagles with their list, I don't think did.
Treloar is one of them. Stevenson at the time, he hasn't gone on to be the guy, but at the time he was one of the. I remember playing on him, and he was was he Rising Star or second in the Rising Star?
One of the Rising Star.
Yeah, so he was whatever he was, Brodie Grundy.
Yeah,
they just clipped him, one of the best ruckmen, and he still is. But they clipped him because they knew you had Darcy Cameron, and they've gone on won a flag because of it.
Yeah,
so. Yeah, I think they got some big calls coming up. And what about Freo on the other side of things? You were telling me that Justin Longmuir, so he signed a deal at the start of this year. There was
earlier in the year, him and Matthew Nicks, and they just put it to bed, say bang. I think it's. And I spoke to Justin maybe a year and a half ago. He doesn't have a manager, or didn't have a manager when I was speaking to. He does deal directly with the club, which seems extraordinary to me.
Brutal.
I'd probably go away with a pay cut, given my negotiating skills.
Walk away with 10 packets of Jats crackers on your bike ski.
I need Scully in there because you're a hard ass. You love all that stuff.
I'm not really. Just pretend to be.
Anyway, so J-Lo looking to. I mean, there's talk. Nathan Smook on AFL said that Smooky said let's jump ahead of the game here and re-sign. I got a feeling he might have said that either before Sydney game or after the Sydney win. Either way,
pull the trigger. Give him a 5-year.
Well, I don't think I'd ever give a 5-year.
3-year.
Yeah, something like that.
Give him some. He's clearly.
The players love him.
There was some frustration with Freo's game style at the start of the year. I would wait a little bit. That was clearly a great win. They've been playing great for 2 weeks, but the Western Bulldogs game was 3 games ago.
Yeah, of course.
And I teed off on them. The way I was speaking, it was well, what's got to change here? You can't just click your fingers.
And why not wait until the end of the season? I mean, you don't want to be waiting until next year to go into that. But if
he gets them to a top 4,
absolutely, that's justification to extend. And by the way, coached his 100th game on Saturday night against the Tigers. I think he's the second longest serving behind Ross Lyon. I think it's around the 170 games at Fremantle. Got a bit of work to do to catch Mick Malthouse on 718 games. But
you can only do so much as a coach, mate. I was asked yesterday about Adam Simpson's job on Fox Footy, and where to from now, mate. I put a lot of the responsibility on the playing group, whether it be at West Coast or Fremantle or anywhere else. Yeah, yes, there are certain elements as the head coach that you can control, and I know all the other stuff around Simo and other coaches under pressure, but it's not a one-way street, mate. And Freo, on the positive side of things, Justin Longmuir hasn't changed the way he's doing things, but we're seeing a different Freo, and that is on the players.
That's maturation of players, and
you need to be able to execute and align yourself to what the coaches are telling you, and then you need to deliver. It's on players. They need to go out and start well against Sydney. Justin Longmuir can only do what he can do. Play some good music, give him a good story, put some things in place. But in the end, mate, when that siren goes, Justin Longmuir was sitting up there twiddling his thumbs. There's not a lot he can do in that first quarter that says Freo kicked 7 goals to 2. Like, that's not Justin Longmuir. I'm sorry. That's the playing.
I understand that. But if you use that rationale, then no coach gets sacked.
No. It's a
results-based business.
I understand.
And you deserve to have great loyalty out of Adam Simpson. Absolutely.
I'm not defending him.
No. But I'm saying the 8 wins from 64, it's
not a great record.
No other professional sporting coach, I think, would keep their job in those circumstances. Bear in mind, there's been lots of injuries. But I don't know. He's been there more than 10 years. A la Ken Hinkley. If Ken doesn't get his team, and he was very emotional at the weekend, but I don't think if Ken gets them to grand final probably, but at least a prelim final, I don't think he's a chance of going on. I think he's been there that long. And the questions are at Ken Hinkley's feet and what they're doing, let alone Adam Simpson.
You also need a replacement.
Well, there's always a replacement out there, Scully. And Collingwood, again, I go back to Collingwood. When Nathan Buckley left, they found a guy called Craig McRae, who, you know what, at the time, I didn't have... And lots of people had gone, oh, good player. Geez, didn't know he could coach. Yeah. And he's been an absolute breath of fresh air. They are out there. And I just reckon, as I said, I think Simo's coaching for his time at the Eagles in the next 7 games or next bunch of matches. If he doesn't get them to play some decent footy, I think his time will almost be up. If they have some bad losses, I think it's a reality.
Will Schofield, Mark Redding's Shelter FootyCast. Yep, good shout there, Skeeter. Let's get into the game, shall we? Freo v Richmond, Optus Stadium. Saturday night, usually this would be a blockbuster, but Richmond are shite. So Freo, they should go into this hoping to absolutely smack Richmond, given they've just beaten Sydney, given they've had a couple of good games in a row. But I know there is an undercurrent of, this is a danger. I don't know. I've spoken to a lot of Freo fans, and some don't have the opinion, well, they just win. No worries. They're a good side. They win. They're a top 3 side.
No, because what you see, I'm a Perth supporter as well, and in the Waffle, we've had so much disappointment that you're a bit like St Kilda supporters as well. You've been programmed to not get your hopes up too high. And the Dockers have done that a bit in this year at times. The Derby's the one game you go, what happened there? You look back in time now and you go, well, they'd come off the gather round, been away, 2 matches they should have won, they lost. All that comes into play. You're right. They should be beating Richmond. They should be beating them comfortably, but there's,
no Dusty.
No Dusty. He's out.
Brennan Cox should be back.
Yes.
Another little one. Dockers fielded the youngest team in the AFL last round.
I noticed that, yeah.
Which is interesting. I mean, that's to do with...
Great sign.
Well, that's to do with no Brennan Cox, no Alex Pearce.
And so Draper and Hugh Davies. So these kids are getting some games.
That's still a fact. Like, they're a young side.
But that's positive.
Exciting.
That's very positive. So there's lots of, but with that youth also, I think at times when we forget, and you and I in the same boat, we forget that you're going to have some variations in your output.
So we forget how old we are.
No, we forget that they're young.
Oh, I thought you were talking about you and I.
Oh, I forget that.
Yeah, how old we are. Forget about our output. Output can be up and down sometimes.
No.
I thought I was going to say, that's really well said, actually, Skater. Forget how old I am sometimes.
In your 30s, jeez.
Jai Amos, right, gun. I rate him highly.
Yeah.
35% goal kicking accuracy at Optus Stadium this year. He's not kicking well in front of goals at Optus at home.
Conversely, I saw a stat again. Josh Tracy, up around the high 60%. This is for players with, I think, 25 shots or more. 65%. I know he had a couple of duffers against, I think it was the Bulldogs, but he's in the high 60s.
Well, so that's a good comparison. It's like 35%, what does that mean? So he's got a teammate in the same team kicking really well. So I wonder if he's looking to tweak anything with that routine, because I've always thought he was a really good shot at goal.
Oh, he is. He has been. But I've always also thought, you look at Josh Tracy's
power
running or approach to striking the ball, it looks...
He gets momentum through.
It just looks more conventional. Amos has got a quite unusual... approach.
I've always thought he doesn't run through the footy enough and doesn't get momentum.
Gets a bit close to the gets close to the man on the mark sometimes.
Just get dangerous of leaning back on it, and when you lean back on it, you can go left and right. So Logan McDonald, he leant back on his kick after the siren. Yeah.
It's
sort of when you lean back, you lose the momentum, and you're trying to get all your power from your leg rather than your momentum of your body. So I've always thought that with Jai, but he gets him to go straight. So you kind of
until this year.
Yeah, well that's it. But like, it's kind of one of those ones that until this year he's kicking straight. It's like, well, we're not going to touch it while he's kicking goals. But then it's a technique that if you get something slightly wrong, then it starts looking bad. Whereas if you get momentum going through, and I'm talking out of school here a bit, Skater, of course. I've seen some of the greats kick over my head. I can see them going straight over me.
You've also shown me the shot of you kicking a goal for the Eagles. Was it last year?
Yeah, it was a good set shot.
Yeah, and you got some stick about it.
Justin Longmuir, who was our forward coach for a long time at West Coast, used to call me the best set shot at the club. You can ask him. So I do know what I'm doing, and I didn't get many of them, but when I did, I kicked them, Skater.
Well, so your percentage would have been up around 80%, I guess, from set shots.
No, because I had a lot of running shots on goal.
Oh,
so I was hard running, half back flanker, bounces, tired. By the time we get to the end of the run,
there's a bit of fig jammery going on here.
Yeah, so look, I don't think that's a big issue. I think they get this done by 10 goals.
Yeah, they do. And good thing is, like you talk about Amos, 12 months ago, or even around that period, we were talking about, do we get Dockers get Logan McDonald back?
Now you'd be overloaded.
You've got, why take two of the same?
That's not because of Amos, though. That's because of Tracy.
As a secondary.
If Tracy hasn't stepped up,
true.
You were kind of thinking, well, who's the third guy? If we lose Jackson or we lose Amos, Tabiner was coming in and playing that role. You know what I mean? Like that was last year. Tabiner was.
But now you turn your focus quite rightly to maybe beefing up your midfield with a Warner or whoever it is that. So they're in a pretty sweet spot. The Dockers. Bear in mind that it's taken to this point of the season when I think even the Eastern States press are starting to say, well, they're playing finals, but can they finish top four? Which puts you right in the frame.
I'm halting my expectations on them. I think they've played 2 really good games in a row. I'd like to see 4. And then I'm all in.
I'll tell you what you should be all in. If they can knock over the Hawks in Launceston, that is a game I think, I'm thinking unlikely. But if they could somehow get a result there, and obviously get to take care of the games they should take care of.
Like this one.
Which is not always a certainty, but they should be winning.
You picking them?
Yes.
By how much?
I think a bit of a wet night, perhaps. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Richmond.
Richmond are the sort of side that will come out.
If it's a bit slippery and wet, they're an annoying side in that sense. So if they win by 3 or 4 goals, I reckon I'd take it.
West Coast v Melbourne, MCG, Sunday, 11:10 a.m. Make sure you're up nice and early with the coffee and the Jats crackers for this one. Matt Flynn is out with that ankle.
He's definitely out?
Yeah, I think he's out with that ankle. That's what I've heard. Jeremy McGovern will play, but he has butchered his thumb. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I do.
In the last quarter, he's ripped all the ligaments in his thumb.
So he could play with that, could he?
Yeah, it's something you can strap up and you basically... it's just like having a paddle pop on.
Bear in mind, the late Darren Mullane played through an entire final series in 1990 for Collingwood and won a flag with a broken thumb.
Yeah, well, it's not ideal for a player like Gov, who best intercept marker we've ever seen, because you get your thumbs in behind the ball, but you basically put a splint in behind it, which acts as the ligaments, and then you strap the shit out of it. So you've kind of just got a big stick that you pump in behind the footy. So not ideal, but he'll play. People are calling for, blooding some more players. You've seen Waffle more than I have this year. They don't have 10 kids running around going, geez, this is exciting.
No, but
they've got a couple. Zane
True's getting enough of the footy. And at the times he's come on, I think he's been a sub and hasn't really been able to get into any groove at all.
I agree.
And Clay Hall...
I've stopped talking about it.
Maybe he's just not good enough. And I say that in jest. I say that in jest. If you're not playing by now, and Adam Simpson, that's my criticism. A bit of the list isn't good. The list has got very little depth. You know that.
Well, no, the depth is not good.
That's what I say. The depth. What do I say?
Well, the list.
That's probably when I say the list from A to Z is not
the list from 1 to 12 is very good.
But mate, the
list from 12 to 35
that's what I'm saying,
is not good.
Yeah, so in that sense, they don't even the waffle level. I mean, Barnett's still raw. True's doing his best. Look, the one I like is Jack Williams. Kicked 4, I think, at the weekend. I think he's one player that they should persist with, albeit it's so difficult at the moment because when you look at the Eagles' forward line. This is where the Jack Darling conversation comes in again. Allen's staying where he is. Waterman's locked and loaded.
They're too tall on the weekend. They had Bailey Williams, Jack Darling, Oscar Allen, 100%. Jake Waterman. It's too tall.
Yeah.
And they want a second ruck. So unless Jack Darling wants to play second ruck behind Bailey Williams.
Which he did go into the ruck at times on the weekend.
So if they want to persist with that, that's fine. But if they're not going to do that and they need to get Jack Williams back in the side, we've seen enough from Jack Williams to know that he can play AFL footy.
Yeah, had a bad
AFL
one
footy.
against St Kilda, I think. Got one touch, then was dropped. But you're right.
He's a developing key forward. Josh Tracy was that guy.
Yeah.
And they kept playing him.
I like him, mate. So I've liked him. He's got a bit of puppy fat on him, but he's worth the patience.
They're going to make some tough calls. And I think what I've admired and respected, and certainly as a player, Simo will back people in. And I know that gets frustration.
You know what it is? I think that's his strength in many ways, his loyalty. And I think Trevor Nisbet was like that in many ways. His strength is his loyalty. At times it can also be to the detriment.
Yeah.
And
you can understand
trying
it.
To find, oh, no, and I'd rather Adam Simpson be like that and Trevor Nisbet be like that than the alternative. As you would know as a player and someone who knows them better than I.
Exactly right. So, yeah, after a performance like that, traditionally, Simo goes, we will back that midfield in. We will back Kelly, Yo, Reid,
well, they should have
whoever else is running around in there. Well,
they have to. They haven't got anything else to. Who are you going to play? Take Tim Kelly out of the team?
Clay. Well, that's the thing that so we keep saying that, but you can't. What's the alternative? We'll just keep going. We'll just back you in. We'll own it. All the rhetoric that gets rolled out, and I'm a back people in guy too. I'm just saying there is alternatives. You can flip some magnets. See you later.
Yeah. Well, we know Gaff's not playing.
Why can't you drop those players? For a week.
Well, you're not dropping off the back of last week. You're not dropping Yo, given the circumstances. Correct. You're not dropping Reid because he was actually.
Well, it's Harley Reid.
He's Harley Reid. You're not dropping him. Tim Kelly's first game back after a month.
Right. So they're going to play him.
They're going to play him all.
Yeah. Harrison Petty will be a test. Right. They play Melbourne.
Petrarca's out for the season.
I mean, Melbourne. We haven't spoken about Melbourne at all.
They're pretty brave against Brisbane. They should have won the game.
They should have won in Brisbane.
In Brisbane, they're in a really good position.
I was on a Melbourne podcast yesterday, the debrief, just because I didn't have anything else to do. Just wanted to talk some more shit about footy. They are concerned about West Coast, and I would be too.
Yeah, I think
they have to. The players have to rebound from last week. There is a non-negotiable that West Coast will play better this week than they did last week.
Yeah, so.
And so it's just not a good week to come up against a side that's nothing to lose, needs to rebound, pressure's on.
On paper's got a decent side.
You need to start well if you're Melbourne. If you start poorly and you get West Coast with a bit of swagger up and about, that's not where you want to be.
And also, when you think of it, Melbourne, I know they kicked a score last weekend, but they generally find it hard to penetrate and kick goals.
West Coast beat Melbourne early in the year as well.
Yeah, exactly. And McGovern, Barris, and obviously Gov's got the issues with his thumb, but it's not going to be any easier this weekend. So I'm not saying they're winning the Eagles, but I'm with you that look, if they get beaten by more than 5 goals on Sunday, that to me is a sign that you said they're going to be showing something more. That Melbourne's playing okay footy, but not great footy.
No, I'm picking Melbourne.
Yep.
Anzac Day rematch: Collingwood v Essendon. Sort of draw. This year?
Was a draw, yeah.
It was a draw, right?
Jamie Elliott, Mark of the Year contender.
That's right. There'll be some changes. McCreary and Noble potentially out. Lockie Schultz back in after that illness, so they'll get some teams back. Essendon, so poor last week. They were so poor. They will need to rebound. If they are a serious top 4, but top 8 contender, you need to play well against the good sides. And Collingwood, they'd be disappointed against Gold Coast, but I don't think losing to Gold Coast in the Gold Coast is the worst thing in the world. They're getting themselves into situations where they're going to have to come back and everyone's got to lift and everything's got to go right for them to win still. And there's apparently some frustration around that with McRae and others at the footy club. But I think this one's more of an Essendon game. What are we going to see from Essendon? Is there enough guys in that side that fully get how important this game is? This is such an important game for them. If they flop over and get done by 8 goals, it's just probably another season in the bin.
Yeah,
seriously.
I don't think they'll get beaten by 8 goals by Collingwood because historically the Magpies don't do that, as you know. And I think there's also question marks about Collingwood's actually, they've started matches for halves the last few weeks pretty moderately. And Essendon, we saw them against the Cats and they were okay for a half. They fell away so badly and it was almost like, okay, who's going to try and stem the flow here? Who's going to try and pick this team off the ground, and they didn't have those leaders per se on the night. I mean, Zach Merritt was, efficiency was down a bit. Yeah, the problem is that the bottom line with Essendon, they haven't been able to beat sides of quality this year.
Only teams that have not beaten a team currently in the top 8 when they've played them: North Melbourne and Essendon. That's by round, what are we, round 16, 17? Where are we? Like, that's not a good start.
No, it just shows you if you get a decent draw, then you can
where they sit like fourth.
Play finals, yeah.
Which is outrageous.
And it's like if you're playing North Melbourne, Richmond and the Eagles twice this year, surely your chances of playing in September increased exponentially.
I don't know if you saw any, but a little bit of attention coming on Darcy Moore and his form.
Yeah, Kane Corns.
One thing I think about Kane Corns over the last couple of years, he's gone from... I'll use someone here, Jeremy McGovern, with his fitness. He was sort of calling him out for that. When I think that's difficult to have any facts behind that, right? To say, someone's not working hard
from
enough
afar.
or fit enough. It's like, what do you don't fucking know. The criticism he's now levelling on players is based off facts and vision and... I heard the coaches' votes. Not that the coaches' votes are anything a big one, but Darcy Moore had 45 coaches' votes last year. He's had 4 this year by round 17. So he hasn't impacted games like he did. Does being a premiership captain void you of any criticism? I don't think it does.
No, and I would suggest that even when the coach comes out and said, "Look, he's not playing as great a footy or good a footy as he can." I mean, that's an acknowledged aspect. Does it mean he's
play him on the best forward, mate? Put him on the best forward. Darcy Moore, we know he's a gun. He's an All-Australian. He's a gun one-on-one guy when he's playing well. So, in my experience, when you're not playing well, if you're a defender and you're maybe an interceptor, and I've played with a lot of really good ones, a little challenge here and there is like, hey, we know you want to roll off and intercept and help, but can you beat this bloke? So is that Peter Wright this week?
Just put it back to the basics of beat your man.
Peter Wright, keep him to 5 touches or less and no goals, and we win. And then next week, you might be able to build off that and you build some confidence. So I'd like to see him do that. Who are you picking, Collingwood or Essendon?
You know what? Collingwood strike me. I've said this, and talking about back-to-back, how hard it is. They strike me as a side, very good side, but they are just, and more might be an indication of that. You're playing decent footy, but I reckon there's 2 or 3% missing from them from 12 months ago. Whatever it is. I'm picking Collingwood. Because I can't tip Essendon after what we saw.
No, I've pulled back the can't tip Essendon stuff. They're fourth on the ladder and I can't tip them. No. That's outrageous. I'll pick Collingwood too. North Melbourne v Gold Coast. Wow. Wow, can't wait to watch this one. Marvel, 11:45.
This match last year, round 23 or 24, determined the Harley Reid.
Cost them Harley Reid.
Yeah.
They were down. That was a great comeback victory.
Which no one will ever... Well, they'll remember it now because what happened in the aftermath.
Colby McKercher should be in. I've been holding him in Dream Team for about 8 weeks and he's back. He's been out with a foot stress fracture. This is, of course, someone who was right up there in the Rising Star calculations, but he's gone now. Reed's gone now.
George Ward
Darcy's gone
available,
now.
but is he still sidelined? That's
he's
the question.
Missing another week, I believe, with
concussion.
that concussion that he suffered at training, so that's disappointing for him. North Melbourne, Gold Coast. Jared Witts is out with that vertebrae from a Darcy Moore knee. I've got no issue with that sort of stuff. That's footy. Unfortunately, we're not going to get that out of the game.
There's coincidence with Darcy twice this year, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but shit happens, Skeeter, as you know, mate. So I don't have a problem with that. I'm not going to break this one that far down. Can Gold Coast win away from home?
That's the only question. And if you look at what they have on paper, what they have produced in the Gold Coast, and if they can't come down to Melbourne and beat North Melbourne, they don't deserve to be playing finals if you can only win your games at home.
I don't think they're playing finals anyway. I've been saying that for a long time. Do you think they'll play finals, Gold Coast?
No, but I'm tipping them this weekend just by virtue of, if they can't beat North North's form's improved.
I'll pick North Melbourne. How's that?
Yeah, okay.
I've been getting my roughies right last couple of weeks.
Is that your roughie?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Is that right?
No, you go for it. A game that I seriously don't have much interest in.
Well, that's all right, because there's a game at the same time. There's no Thursday night footy. Like, we're seeing double-ups across the board here. It's just ridiculous, to be honest. So there's 2 games starting exactly the same time.
I know you bagged the NRL just earlier on, but they don't allow that. They have their matches.
No one's watching, so it doesn't matter. Port Adelaide.
You know more people watch NRL over the course of the 12 months in AFL? Includes Origin.
No, I didn't know that.
Origin. Yeah, nor did I when I brought it up, and I was quickly told the numbers over the course of 12 months includes Origin. You've got to bear in mind.
So what are they butchering? Because they're not in a better position in the AFL. Their national footprint is what they're butchering. They don't have a team in one of the states.
No,
they have a team in Western Australia.
No, I agree. Well, that's changing, but that'll change. But I'm saying it's arguably if not the top football code in Australia.
There's just more people in Queensland than New South Wales. That's what it is.
Well, bottom line is that, so the TV numbers are good, but what are we saying here?
What are you an NRL spokesperson?
No, but you're potting something you don't know the facts about.
Yeah, but that doesn't change, Skeeter. I pot people all the time. I have no idea about. Right.
Anyway, they've doubled up on matches. You're right.
Port Adelaide, Western Bulldogs. So you don't have to watch North Gold Coast. You can watch Port Adelaide, Western Bulldogs.
What time on?
11:45 Saturday. What will you be doing?
I'll be preparing for the waffle, which will be...
what does that involve?
That involves going to the ground and calling the game, you numpty, and doing some homework at some stage after having
6 minutes.
Having some Jack's crackers.
Willie Rioli should be back in, which should be good for this one. Port Adelaide, Western Bulldogs. I think it's an interesting game.
Yep.
Rory Lobb, coach's votes as a backman. Will he stay in the back line? They got coach's votes. He got 7.
Well, he's got to stay there.
Has to. He's a backman now.
He's probably thinking to himself, no.
What did I do that for? Yeah, correct. But if you... Look, he had the year at Fremantle. I don't think outside of that he's had a year where everyone thought, well, here we go, Rory Lobb. It was that year that got him, the upgrade. He's already said he's leaving the Bulldogs. But if you're a competitor, which you'd have to be in the league this long, the only way to get a game at AFL level is to play in the back line, you'd be playing in the back line. So we're seeing him as a backman again. Port ranked last for contested possessions differential since round 10, coming up a stacked Western Bulldogs midfield. I think they're in trouble here, Skeeter. Adelaide Oval just got over the line at St Kilda by 2 points. And Western Bulldogs are a better side than that.
Yeah, I'm firmly tipping the Bulldogs here on the basis of exactly what you said with the midfield. They beat the Saints, who are officially no good. They're sort of a bottom 4 side. So
no Max King anymore as well.
No Max King on that basis, but for the Saints, but certainly for Port. Look, it was a win. The pressure that would have been on Ken Hinkley last week was enormous. So they got the result there. I'm just not sure that that's a great form guide.
I'm picking Bulldogs.
Me too.
Geelong v Hawthorn down at KP, Cardinia Park.
Yeah, this is a tough game.
This is an interesting one. Geelong played really good footy against Essendon. Hawthorn, I've moved them to the most informed side in the competition alongside Carlton. Carlton and Hawthorn.
And Sydney's
lost one game. About form. I'm not talking about. I don't roll out things like you saying Geelong's the best side in the competition. In form,
best side at the time, because the ladder doesn't lie.
Right.
How are they going? Well, after last weekend, they're going better than I thought they were going.
Yeah, correct. That was a surprise to me. I thought that was going to be a challenging game for them. Tyson Stengel, 5-year contract extension. So this is the manager's rolling around. He's going to Saints. He's going to here and he's going to there. Saints can't sign anyone, by the way. No one wants to go there.
It's not a destination club.
No, absolutely not. Tyson Stengel, 5 years at Geelong. I mean, good on the young man, I reckon. Adelaide didn't want him.
No,
some issues there.
I've never got any issue with a player taking on a club for that long. It's more about the club, what they decide to do. But
we know Geelong's been frugal in their financial investments, so I'm sure they did a deal that was beneficial to them.
Yeah, and 5 years is not as long as what we see with some other deals. I think Berry this week from Brisbane, I think a 7-year deal or 5. So the 5-year deal, going back in time, Sco, was enormous.
Yeah, huge.
Now it's sort of run of the mill.
Ollie Henry will come back. Mitch Lewis will be in for the Hawks, which is big. He's a big inclusion for them.
I'm surprised they're regarded as such outsiders. I know the game's in Geelong, but what I saw from Hawthorn last week, they're playing some really good footy.
So my just a little update. We said goodbye to Nick last week, and my nephew Riley, who lives in Geelong, is now doing some of these run sheets for us. I had to put the context because this is what this says. Hawthorn's last win, so he's a Geelong boy, right?
Yeah.
So grew up together in Geelong.
Knows all about it.
Hawthorn's last win at Cardinia Park came in round 3, 2006. Will Schofield was there as a Cats fan, which is 100% true. So I would have been sitting in the outer abusing Hawthorn or Geelong, or no doubt, just giving a bit of feedback over the fence. 2006 was their last win.
Can we put it in some context? How many times since 2006 have they played there?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because generally...
Do you know the answer?
No, I don't. And also, but Hawthorn, Geelong, you look at the last 15, 20 years, they've generally been thereabouts. So you're not going to play a game there when you can get 80,000 at the G. But for instance, Easter Monday, it's never at Geelong. Yeah. It's at the MCG, as an example.
Tom Stewart played in the midfield all last week. Like every minute.
Is that a way to try and just break the...
I didn't like the look of him. And they go and win, right? So I guess you can't fault it to an extent. Really difficult spot to play. Proper on-ball, midfield, centre bounces. It's very different to the role he plays in the back line. So, I just think, are you robbing Peter to pay Paul? Are you taking the biggest strength you have, like your best player in the back line, to go and help out your midfield that isn't quite getting it done? Like maybe him being in there gave them some dominance in the midfield. I don't know if it did. I'd like to see him in the back line and them to get I don't know. They must have players that can play in there that aren't Tom Stewart.
Yeah. Although the issue with that argument is that it worked against Essendon. I expect him to probably pull the trigger again and see if they can go a similar fashion this week against the Hawks, who've got such a, as we discussed previously, they've got a really blue-collar, workman, hard-running, really good running side. So, if it's 2006 since they last game of footy there, I'm not sure if Sam Mitchell ever plays on that sort of stuff, but again, they might have only played there 3 or 4 times since, but this is a really good opportunity for them.
Essendon won clearances 48-38 last week with Stewart as a midfielder. I don't think it gives them the advantage that you think it does, but we'll see what they do with him. The Hawks have only played there twice.
That sounds so that stat's a bit skewed. So no surprise there.
Yeah, so no, once.
What?
They won in round 2, 2006, and then they played in 2020, round 2. Right.
Rest my case.
All right. So some of these stats, mate, I tell you what. Who are you picking? It's a bloody hard game.
Oh, really hard game.
I'm staying with my boys, the Hawks. Big Hawthorn man, so Hawthorn will win.
Yeah, I think Hawthorn's playing better footy, so on that basis, unless the Hawthorn players struggle with the dimensions of the ground, because if it's 2020, a lot of these blokes would have played there before.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It's a different ground.
Why is it so hard?
It's a skinny-ish ground with deep pockets.
So is it best just to go down the guts or use the wings? What is it?
Mate, you're asking the wrong man. We had an averaging losing margin of 85 points at Geelong. I did the numbers for an article with Code Sports one time, and my average losing margin was 84 points.
So you would rock up in the rooms, not saying you beat
done by 100 points 3 times.
Did you feel confident ever winning there?
No.
Oh, really?
Well, we went there one year, maybe 2019, like back of a flag, and we got done by 80, like just pants pulled down. Yeah, absolute pants pulled down.
That's just a mindset, isn't it?
I don't know, mate. Yeah, like I said, I couldn't answer your question. Hawthorn.
Hawthorn for me. I like Hawthorn. You've convinced me. I've jumped on, and I wish them well after that.
This game here, 10 weeks ago, round 6.
Match of the round.
GWS v Carlton at Giants Stadium. I don't reckon you could pick against the Giants. Where we sit right now, like I've no idea. Like I would love to go and say GWS can challenge, but Carlton just roll them.
I can't pick against Carlton. Their form is too good. Having seen the Giants knock over Port Adelaide, not convincingly. I think you're in the studio with me for that game.
Yep.
They're still missing. There's something missing from the team of 23. There's no question about that. And against Adelaide, well, that's a good. I don't know what that is. Now, I know they've had some injuries per se, but that doesn't answer their style that we're seeing this year. We sort of briefly against the power, and we've at times this year where they get their run and surge footy, but I don't know, they don't look anywhere near as dangerous and energetic as what they did going back 12 months, which...
Certainly, so I spoke about Fremantle v Sydney at Sydney being like a game you can sort of hang your hat on for Freo. Like, this is one for GWS. Carlton won't roll up there thinking, like, this is in the bag.
No.
Like, if GWS play their best footy, they can certainly beat Carlton. I just can't pick my boys in the Giants, unfortunately. I'm picking Carlton.
And they can't kick a score at the moment, for whatever reason.
Jordan Boyd got off after 4 hours at the tribunal.
They're just spending 4 hours there.
Mate, it'll just be legal bullshit.
Carlton are very good, though. Carlton are very good at getting their players off.
Got a good success rate?
Good success rate.
You picking Carlton?
Absolutely. I think Carlton, as you say, playing great footy, and P. Cripps just doing his best work now.
St Kilda v Sydney at Marvel Stadium, a bounce-back game for Sydney. Perhaps Max King out for the season with a PCL. Dougal Howard will come back in, hopefully. Who does Windhager tag? There's a lot of questions in this one.
Well, is it Errol Goulden? Is it...
Can't go to all three of them. No. Goulden, Heaney or Warner.
The worst thing to happen for St Kilda, apart from losing by 2 points to Port Adelaide, was Sydney to go down to Fremantle last weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you don't want for a team. That's, and the horse saying to his players, they weren't disgraced by anything. Well, they lost by a point. But, yeah, having seen the Saints last week, having seen the body of their work, they lack, with a forwarding King out for the season, again, you talk about some of the ugly matches this year, and I think Ross Lyon's been involved with a few of them. He might again try and turn. I think that the ugliest game in the history of footy was between these two clubs going back a few years ago. Forget which year it was, but it was just horrendous. I don't know if you remember it, but it just was 50 points to 40 or something. It's just horrendous. That's what Ross Lyon will try. He'll have to try and do that.
They beat West Coast at Optus as well.
Who did?
St Kilda. It's like this side that Yeah,
that shows you how bad the Eagles.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I think Sydney wins by 7 to 8 goals.
Windhager will try and go to someone. Look, Freo did jobs on these guys. They did a job on Heaney. They did a job on Gould, and they didn't have a good enough representation, shared sort of influence in the Sydney midfield. So they'll be challenged. Nick Blakey was outstanding. He got the 10 votes in that game.
He did. I saw that.
As I told you.
Yeah, no, Caleb Strong got 7 or 8. But yeah, no, you were right on the money with that.
It feels like you didn't watch that game and you were just wrong.
Well, no, who, me?
Yeah,
no, I didn't. I was at the Waffle, so I didn't see it. I told you that, you numpty. At least I'm honest. I didn't see it.
I'm honest too. I'm bloody honest. I got no idea what's going on. I pick Sydney.
Sydney will pump them.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you very much. Brisbane v Adelaide at the Gabba. I think Adelaide's rebooted their system of being attacking. I think Brisbane's doing the same. We saw them challenge last week against Melbourne. Is Adelaide a better side than Melbourne? I think potentially on form, maybe. Maybe they are.
Yeah, possibly. But they've...
Riley Thilthorpe.
Charlie Cameron, by the way, is I think he'll finish his career having signed the big long-term deal with the Lions.
3 years.
Is it 3 years?
Turned 30 on...
so that's him.
That's 30 last week.
There was a bit of speculation he wanted out after what happened pre-season, but he's staying. Again, I think I mentioned all the metrics for Brisbane... having
top 4
is saying they're 1-1-1 in all these categories.
They're back.
That hasn't shown on the ladder yet, but they beat Adelaide this weekend.
They're back in a big way. I think they beat them as well. Brisbane are back. These teams drew in round 10, if you remember.
That's right, Adelaide Oval.
But Lions are back in business since then, so I'm picking Brisbane as well. Will Schofield, Mark Redding's Shelter FootyCast. All right, a little bit of user interaction, Skeeter, to finish us off. If you want to get involved with the podcast, you can put a YouTube comment. You can hit us on social, Shelter FootyCast, or you can send us an email, footycast@backchatstudios.com.au. This one is on YouTube from, not even going to try and do that, So Torrio Novastus 4529. How about that? You didn't give us a roughie either, Skater, by the way. You didn't pick any roughies.
That was part of the...
you can do what you like. I was one of those people who called 6PR after the game, and I couldn't agree more with Scully and what Skeeter said. Liam Duggan not being able to give us a real response to that performance, I don't know what to tell you, and Sam Mitchell being furious with his players despite them killing us, punching the advertising board, tells you how far apart West Coast and Hawthorn are in their club culture. I think it's unfair on Liam Duggan to put much of that on him. He's played a game of footy and he's getting you're rolling out 5 minutes after a game. You don't actually know what's happened. To be honest.
May I say, just to be honest with you,
I understand the fans.
Just when you talk about the 6PR, just being totally honest, you weren't on 6PR as part of this, or were you?
No, but I was talking about. I'd listened to it. Remember, I was driving home in the car listening.
Oh yes, exactly.
Were you on there?
No, I wasn't. I was doing a TV show, so I didn't actually hear the interview, but I saw the quote.
We just spoke about the response.
Again, I think you're right. You can't be laying... I mean, Oscar Allen came out pretty strongly a couple of days afterwards and was more defending Adam Simpson and also saying it's on the player's shoulder. So, I don't think you've got to be careful about slating Liam Duggan. The last thing he wants to do is slag off his teammates to any major degree when I guess you want to make sure that you all learn it together.
This is from Liam on the emails. Thank you very much, Liam. G'day, Will and Skeeter. This is in response to the equalisation topic and the noise around Vic Bias. It's not just Vic Bias as a whole where this anger should be directed, but a portion of the teams there. So it's not the whole of Victoria, just a portion. Of the 15 Victorian premiers since 2008, which I spoke about last week, only one has been a Marvel Stadium tenant, the Bulldogs in 2016. Of the 14 other winners, Hawks, Collingwood, Melbourne and Richmond are regulars at the MCG, and Geelong plays most of its games against large Vic clubs there too. North, St Kilda and Bulldogs only play 5 games combined at the MCG this year, so they may as well have been treated as interstate teams. They also struggle to feature in blockbusters, with most of those being claimed by MCG teams, Anzac Day Eve, Anzac, Easter Monday, King's Birthday, Dreamtime, etc. The AFL is so obsessed with blockbusters and big crowds that they are cannibalising their own competition and setting these teams up for financial failure. They also struggle to bring in and retain talent, these sides. Most of their trade recruits are B grade at best, and they only rely They rely on the draft more than almost any other club. So when bringing up a competitive balance of Vic versus interstate, keep in mind that not everyone in Victoria has it easy. Thanks, Liam. Brilliant email.
Yeah, good.
And it's a really bloody good point.
And I've always banged on about getting access to the MCG as a WA club or a South Australian club. But, yeah, it's a good point to say that there's, of many there, that some of those Victorian clubs are almost like going into foreign territory at the G as well. So, yeah, the equity or lack of it in the AFL is no surprise. There's so many errors. Where do you begin? Or so many areas where you think this doesn't stack up. And I think there's a few more that I hadn't thought of.
We've seen North Melbourne to an extent, their inability to be able to attract good recruits, like go and get a free agent. St Kilda of late have been the same. I won't say Essendon. They've been able to go and get people, and I don't know.
They're the next level in terms of club support.
But those sides, the Bulldogs have been able to go and win a flag, but they built that on real dogged,
extraordinary
circumstances. Finished 8th or whatever they finished. So, yeah, it's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. Thank you, Liam. Great email. This one is from Tilly over on Instagram. G'day, legends. Just wanting to know what the head coach talks to the players about at the quarter-time breaks. The line coaches will be giving specific feedback about what to do. So what does the head coach say to everyone together? Also, why don't you crack a smile, Sco, on Fox Footy when the photo comes up?
It's a classic photo. Look at it. It looks like...
I've asked for that to be changed like 5 times, and now I've just stopped asking. Like I don't really care.
I love it. It looks like you're out of some either some gangster movie or you're a porn star. I'm not sure which one it is.
It's probably a porn star. Mate, it was taking a long time ago. Big, thick beard, and I'm sort of deadpan down it. Skeeter likes it.
I think it's brilliant because I get stitched up.
How do you know what a porn star looks like?
Nah, just rumour. Rumour has it.
Got him. Absolutely got him. Look, what does the head coach say? It's a brilliant question, right? So what happens at quarter time? And we'll finish on this one, I think.
Yep.
You come in, you have... sometimes the coaches are still coming down. So you sort of, by the time siren goes, you get your shit together, your mouth going in the sock, and you're kind of slapping up everyone. By the time you get in, sometimes the coaches aren't quite there. So you might break in your lines, have a bit of a chat, and within the next minute or so, the assistant coach will come. So either the assistant coach will let the players speak if we're going through something, or he'll just go, right, this is what's happening, and he'll give you a bit of a lay of the land from a stat perspective. You'll have different metrics so I'll just talk about the back line. Like we would have metrics around the opposition converting off their inside 50s. So there might be a percentage that you're trying to keep them to. If they've had 10 inside 50s, you might want them scoring under 40% or something like that. You get that sort of feedback stat-wise, and then you also get a look and a feel what we're doing from a structure point of view. Are we dropping off too much from the stoppage? Are we... are we not respecting our men enough? Are we handing over too much? Are we leg roping them too much? Are we letting them hit up? Like that, the assistant coach gives you all the line specific stuff. The head coach then, look, he's obviously been speaking up in the box to all of them. So he's sort of, I guess, directed them, hey, mids, we need skinny side winger to be, we need him more lateral to the contest, or we need like one of the wingers to only play on the skinny side and someone to sweep it all, kind of whatever they are. But when we all come in together, there's overall team metrics. So he might talk about team defense, not about defense as a backline, but how we're defending opposition transition, whole ground transition. So West Coast last week against Hawthorn just got destroyed from transition from D50 and transition from stoppage. So that would be something the coach speaks to all lines about. Like when he speaks, it's to the team.
Collective.
Yeah, and then he would then either highlight, or there'd be maybe some individual efforts, maybe throw a couple of them out. Like, Scully, you're saving the day, mate. Like, brilliant stuff. Or Scully, getting fucking destroyed, mate. Need you to lift. Like, you'll give a couple of those.
Yeah.
And then you'll give a final message what we need to focus on. And in saying all that, I used to stand as far at the back as possible and not listen to much of it, to be honest.
Is that right?
Oh, there wasn't a lot as a role-playing key backman that... Like, get your job done, mate. Like, there's not much I need to know about.
Be your man.
Yeah, correct. And I'd listen, and I know what's going on, but there wasn't a lot that was directly involved with me.
Well, the waffle, just quickly, when you talk about what head coaches say, Todd Curley, quarter time, trailing East Perth by about 3 goals. And we had vision and a little bit of audio, which didn't go to air, him storming out, and before the lines broke up, he got them in as a collective and absolutely tore shreds off them on Saturday, and it was probably, and again, as we discussed on air that day on 7, then they broke into lines, and then he went around to each line and had another go at them.
Great.
But as you would know, you've probably only got one of those full-blown sprays a month or every 2 months. You can't be doing it every week, and that was Curly's way. And look, they end up losing by a couple of points. But as a head coach, you can't just go fire and brimstone every week, as you'd know.
If you ever see the head coach speaking first to the group, it's never positive.
No, exactly. That's
everyone in. Don't go your lines. Get in here. Yes. Get in. Scully, get the backs in. And then you get cooked. And then, all right, go out your lines and have a chat. And then you come back in, he settles down a bit.
But the spray, you can't do a spray every week.
No, you can't. No, but looking for a response. Skeeter, that's almost us done and dusted.
Yep.
Giveaway time. Make sure you're following us on social. Shelter FootyCast. We've got 4 tickets, premium tickets to the Richmond Freo game. You want to go along to that, jump on the socials. We'll do some sort of giveaway. Tag your mates who you want to take, and we will be drawing that before the game on the weekend. It'll be a good game to go to, I think, if you're a positive Freo supporter.
Dockers fans get their numbers, go and have a couple of shelters first and enjoy a Saturday night. Nothing better than Saturday night footy.
Brilliant stuff. Well done, Skeeter. I'll let you take your Paywise Fleet Network car out there. I see there's already a ding in it, mate.
That wasn't me.
Will Schofield. Mark Reading, Shelter FootyCast. Make sure you follow us on socials, Shelter FootyCast. Or send us an email. Get involved. footycast@backchatstudios.com.au. Stick around, VIPs and patrons. We've got a special investment update from Mark Readings coming up.